I'll give the example of what it's like to grow up in a 4D home and a 3D home. Let's say I'm a little girl and I'm running through the house, and I know one else has been running through the house, but I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm playing with my toys, and by accident, I knock over mom's favorite vase, and the glass shatters and water and all that goes everywhere. There's two things that mother is going to do. She will have the courage to rise up out of anger, and she will get to neutrality. She will calm down. She will get grounded, balanced, and centered. Then she will walk over to the kiddo, soothe the kid, get down on her knees, because you definitely want eye level contact, and say, sweetie, this is why we have this rule in this house of no running. And I know this was an accident. These things happen, and I still love you, and I forgive you.
Welcome everyone to Soul Communication. Today I'm excited to continue conversation about human consciousness and our evolution into the next era, because a lot of things are happening on Earth. We just went through elections period, and a lot of people are asking what this new Earth reality looks like, where are we headed, what are the transformations that are coming. And I'm excited to talk about human consciousness with Kerie Logan. She is a therapist, a spiritual advisor. She also has a podcast called Master the Upper Rooms, and she's been on this journey for several decades, like I have. Welcome, Kerie.
Thank you for having me, Diane. I
Well,
appreciate, and I'm very humbled and glad to be here. I feel very blessed, so thank you.
thank you as well. So many topics we can cover, and you've been on this journey for a while. What excites you in this moment now?
What excites me is what's to come, and how we're all here on earth to learn. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So this is just a vessel. With that being said, everyone that is here specifically at this time for a purpose, for a reason. I believe that a lot of us are being called to just shed what has been holding us back and limiting us as a species and in the area of human consciousness, because there is 3D, 4D, and 5D. And in order to have this new earth, people need to evolve. When I say that, I'm sure you've met people like this, where they are an adult in their body, but they're a child, they're immature up here. That's the real important thing, because all the skills and abilities we need to become mature adults and to achieve the ascension process is in 4D and 5D. All the skills, tools, and abilities I was guided to call the podcast and the website Master the Upper Rooms, because a lot of us are being told, as we've been doing this for a while, raise your energy, raise your vibration, think more positive. But we have not been given really a roadmap or steps, the exact steps of what you need to do. And so back in 2012, when I channeled my first book, Affirming and Focusing on Living a Better Life, and I got to chapter 3 about the power of our emotions, I channeled this information, and I was over the moon with it. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And I was guided that go online, and this is scientifically proven. There is evidence in the information that I channeled. And I found David Hawkins' work, The Map of Human Consciousness. And I wanted to tell him, do you know what you found? This is magic. Do you know how to use it? Because he had the information, but do you really know how to use it? And he died that same exact year. So I went back
Woman.
and I asked my guides what I channel, which is Tobias. I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, have everyone aligned to the frequency of love. Everyone. Start coaching and teaching this now with all of your clients. And I did. I've had amazing results. One woman actually is on the Gaia channel now, and we talked about manifesting earlier, and I coached her. I worked with her on attracting that investor and she actually channeled, got a device from a being from a different planet. If you watch, I think it's season 3 Deep Space on the Gaia channel, she's on there. But long story short, in 18 months, this investor gave her $9.8 million. I ended up being approached by a coaching company that as soon as he had 100 clients, he contacted me and said, there's something different about you. I don't know what it is about you, but I have a proposition for you. I want you to coach me for 6 months. I'll give you all the clients that come in, but I want to see what you do. And I coached him so well that in 6 months, he was able to put all his stuff in storage and travel the world with his wife. I even coached his wife once. I do readings, and I told her, you have these 2 babies that want to come in, but your line of work doesn't allow you to do that. So you have to decide what it is your heart desires. What do you really want? Is it work or a family? Now they have 2 beautiful kids. Last year, I had a major spiritual awakening, and I was guided to, now you're going to teach this to the whole of humanity. You need to literally break it down and into brackets, 3 separate sections of this is what 3D is, this is 4D, and then this is 5. And that's what we want you to teach humanity now, not just your clients. We want you to globally get this information out here because it will help people with the ascension process.
So maybe we can, Kerie, dive into that. I'm curious to hear from your channel information from your perspective. What are these 3D, 4D, and 5D human consciousnesses? Because I believe there's more than 5D.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you can break it a little more down for us in terms of the importance, and also I'm curious about the embodiment of love, because I do feel that's a big challenge, especially those in 3D, to move into 4D.
A lot of people never experienced unconditional love. And honestly, hundreds of years ago, 3D human consciousness did serve a lot of people because it is all about the self. It's survival. We've evolved as a species where we don't need to be so rigid and black and white anymore. We don't need to be greedy and power hungry and superficial or so much vanity. When I was talking to someone today, and we were talking about this whole new world, I brought up the subject of the economy, where they say, oh, the economy is bad, the economy is bad. And I have to say, no, the economy is perfectly fine because we're getting to a state of consciousness where we don't need all these material things to make us happy. So just because we're not out shopping for flat screen TVs or the latest watch or this designer purse, we're saying, no, my money is better spent on something else. Or I'd rather save my money, or I'd rather invest my money. And we're not lining the pockets of the people that used to manipulate us or make us so self-conscious that we doubted ourselves. It's, no, I don't need this $300 cream to make myself look beautiful. I can buy a $20 cream and get the same exact results. So to break down 3D human consciousness, they all have a frequency range and energetic vibrational point. So the lowest one is shame and humiliation. Nobody likes to feel that way. And so when we watch comedians or you listen to jokes, it is about shame and pain. It is. And sometimes we can laugh at it, but I will tell you, it gets harder to laugh at that stuff when you raise your consciousness because it's not funny anymore. It's seriously not. It's not for me, at least. My husband tries to get me to watch stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't
No.
find the humor in that.
And I
I
think
seriously
most of
don't.
my listeners probably would agree with you, because this group is pretty advanced. So
Okay,
they
good.
probably not so much into watching sports or that type of comedy shows or horror
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. It's like my husband showed me Parks and Recreation, a clip where someone became a roommate and they were eating off of Frisbees. And I was just like, I can't laugh at this. I don't find the humor. I'm sorry. I can't laugh at this anymore. And there was even a scene in, what was it? Resident Alien, where someone rolled this truck down the hill and it crashed into whatever. And I said, that's trauma. You don't know who's at the end of that. And it's like he was and some people find stuff and I'm just like, I can't find humor in that. I seriously can't. I said, if that was me, I'd be running down the hill, waving my arms, going, please stay safe. Please stay safe. I just, so the next one up is 30, which is blame and guilt. And we see, let's be honest, a lot of people when we want to get out of trouble, especially kids, oh, he did it. She did it. And that's a part of adulting, is accepting responsibilities for our actions, our words. And then if you go up even higher, there's despair, there's hopelessness, there's anxiety, there's fear. And this is the kicker. There's desire and lust. And a lot of people say, why is desire in 3D? And I tell them, it's a desire that will never be satisfied. You are always craving and hungry for more. And that's where greed comes in, and treating people superficially, like all these dating apps. If you don't look a certain way, oh, swipe, I don't want you. And it's gotten sad because people are realizing we need an emotional connection. You can't just keep using people and taking advantage of them. And then the last one is pride. And people say, why is that negative? And it's an egotistical pride. It's where you're stuck in black and white. It's where people think it's my way or the highway. Either you're with me or against me. It's that very rigid way of thinking. And it does not allow the ability to agree to disagree. And everything is conditional. And it's just, I'm sure everyone, all of your listeners have met people like that. And that's why I say, when you evolve, you realize that you can love that person unconditionally. You just don't like them. And what you don't like is their behaviors and the way they treat you and the way they treat other people. That's what you don't like, is their traits, personality, and behaviors, because they haven't matured. They haven't evolved up to 4D. And what 4D, the very first step, is courage.
Yeah.
The courage to do something differently, the courage to think differently, being where you're permitting someone to be themselves. You're permitting a person to be vulnerable and speak their truth. And then there's next one up is neutrality. You agree to disagree. You move up even higher. It's where you trust and you can release the past.
Yeah, let's zoom in for a second on neutrality, because I think that one, I feel, been in our consciousness a lot in the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks with elections. I chose the unified field, but it's been really interesting to observe what was happening, like on Facebook and other social media, and choosing side, and people really pushing and pulling, as I call it, this energy, which is very much 3D.
I was in the same exact boat. So when I got the news of who got elected, I was devastated. And I had to quiet my mind. And when I tapped in, I said, why? Why was this person elected? And this is the message I got. And I hope it gave me peace of mind. And when I've shared it with others, oh my God, I get it. So what I got was, this is a lesson that humanity needs to learn, but it is not my lesson. I am the lighthouse. I am the safe space. I need to hold my space. So I need to not watch the news. I need to really be careful, because think of it as seeds blowing in the wind. And that is all the negative seeds flowing out there. We are the ones that grab what seed, and we are the ones that water it. And you got to step back and be like, check in with yourself periodically. If you're angry, you're frustrated, you have anxiety, what is triggering you inside? And then forgive yourself for grabbing on that seed and watering it, and forgive the energy around it. Forgive the situation, forgive all of it, but get back to what I call baseline is courage and neutrality. That is baseline. That's where you can just accept that this situation is not permanent, it's only temporary. And there is a lesson in this for a lot of people. And when those people hopefully wake up and it hits them at home, where it's their someone they love, someone they care about, there will be people like us that are neutral, that can say, it's okay.
Mhm.
Let's work on this and let's get clear. And let's help you find yourself again and come back home. Because I think really that's what the whole ascension process is about, is remembering who you are, what you are, and how you serve the world. And even just being a happy, loving person that gives a smile when you're out in public, that is a way of serving. You don't have to do something over
So
the top or big, just being you, an authentic, beautiful, caring, nurturing, accepting, forgiving, harmonious, meaningful, wise person. That is you. That's 4D. And we've
mhm.
all met people like that, and we love and adore them. Love and adore them. So that's really what I feel the ascension process is, those people that have been gaslighted and misled, and they're being lied to. We've been lied to for thousands of years. We are we're I'm a messenger of light and love. We're all light beings. We're created out of light and love. And we're lied to. And we need to come back home to who we are and to honor that and to become one with our creator again. Because when you seriously move out of the 3D realm, that is when your higher self and your intuition starts to talk to you more on a regular basis.
How would you recommend someone to move from 3D to 4D? Is that like a gradual, natural process for people happening as they're awakening? What would be some techniques that you're using for people to shift from these two different frequency bandwidths?
I just worked on the instructions because I do have an image on my website about the breakdown that I was told to create of from the 3D, 4D up into 5D. And what I tell people to do is to find your set point. And I had a really cool insight that I realize a lot of people, as being a therapist, a lot of people that, especially that have experienced trauma, they have a hard time connecting to their emotions, their feelings. And so I have specific images that I channeled to create where it shows, let's say in the section of fear, what are the traits and behaviors? And so if a person can connect more to these traits and behaviors in that energetic frequency of fear, then that helps them figure out, this is my set point. And then what you do is you quiet and you calm yourself down and you figure out, is it something internally or externally? So internal is the thoughts we think about ourselves, how we feel about us, the voice in your head. External is a situation, an event, a boss, a coworker, a family member. And you figure that out. And what you do is you sit with it and you tap in and you ask yourself, one, did this trigger like a core value of mine? Is it a need that I have not been meeting that's causing this fear and anxiety? What is it? It's really going, because all the answers are within us. It is. If you've ever heard about The rules for being human, the very last rule is the answers lie inside you. It is. All the answers lie within us. And so it's being quiet and going within and asking these questions without judgment, without blame, without humiliation. It's just information. And then what you do is you see, do I have the courage to look at it differently? Do I have the ability to make peace with it? Do I have the ability to let it go? Do I need to work on forgiveness? Do I need to work on acceptance? Do I need to forgive myself because I haven't had enough sleep lately and I'm irritable as hell? So that's my thing. What was it? Is it a need? Is that maybe why you got triggered or you got cranky or irritable? What is it? And then working up, because all the tools are in the 4D realm, which is courage, feasible, flexible, it's accepting, it's compassion, it's patience. Maybe we need to show ourselves grace. There's people that are stuck in perfectionism. That will drive anybody nuts.
So I think perfection is that realm of control. And I don't think control is in your emotional list, but I think that's very much 3D as well.
Is all about control.
Right.
And you have to look at it. Why they are that way is they did not have any control when they were growing up. So as an adult, they feel like I can control this, and they get stuck in that rigidness instead of being kind, like self-acceptance and self-compassion, and instead of looking at it is I need to fix myself. I need to fix myself. Look at it in a way is I'm finding my way. I'm just finding my way back home. I'm finding solutions. So I say, instead of talking about, oh, this is a problem, actually, no, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to go within. It's an opportunity to be curious and explore and discover and really be patient with yourself. Seriously, because all of our core wounds that did develop in childhood. And the only one that's really going to fix it is your therapist, but they're going to make you work on yourself and find that solution. What is it? And sometimes it's really hard because maybe you need to set boundaries with family members. Maybe you're stuck in people pleasing. Maybe there's addictive behaviors that come out that are ruining your life, and there's lots of many different things. And sometimes we can't see it because we got blinders on. Yeah. And two, I'm sure is some people are invested in being a victim because they're getting something positive out of it. They didn't get positive reinforcement growing up, a lot of people, but they learned, oh, if I do these negative things, at least I'm getting attention.
The other interesting one I'm curious your thoughts on is narcissism.
Oh, I know a lot about that. Huge.
I'm seeing that a lot in this relationship with empaths. I myself dealt with it and with someone who's an authority figure recently, which was really interesting universal test of how I handle it from 5D, 4D perspective.
Yeah.
And but I keep on seeing that constantly still as this old energy that we need to transmute that is really lingering.
It is lingering. And I like to say that they are our teachers.
For sure.
Because if you don't learn it from the first narcissist, you're going to meet another, and you're going to meet another. And the hard part is growing up, we weren't taught about love bombing and all the traits and behaviors growing up. People now in this generation, they are so lucky that information is out, because I had experience with a covert narcissist, and that's considered one of the most dangerous. And I did have someone, a psychologist, say, hey, I think your ex is a narcissist. And when I looked it up, I got the first one where They're grandiose. They're all about themselves. And I was like, no, this guy's nerdy and shy and drives a violet Kia. There's no way he could be narcissistic. So I let it pass. But what he should have said is look up the behaviors and the traits and the things that they do, like the gaslighting and the projection and the undermining and the devaluing. Look all that up. Because once I did, it was like sirens going off in my head. I was shocked. I was completely shocked. And so I say, he was my greatest teacher. He really was my greatest teacher. And what helped me come to that realization and swallow that hard pill to swallow was the book, The Sun and the Little Soul. And what it says in that book is there was a little angel that was a little spirit up in heaven, and he went to God and he wanted to learn unconditional love and forgiveness. And God was like, oh, that's a really hard one. You sure you want to learn this? Both of them at the same time, I think. And he said, yes, I want to learn this. And so someone out of the soul group came up to this little soul and said, I've decided to be this person that's going to teach you this. But I want to warn you, you're going to hate me. You're going to hate everything about me. You're going to think I'm the most evil monster, whatever it is. But I'm doing it because I love you. I love you the most. Yeah. Love you the most. And sorry. That was a hard pill to swallow. That this evil, terrible person was my greatest teacher.
Yeah.
And I can now say that I have completely forgiven them and I love them unconditionally because we have a beautiful child. And that was the gift that he gave.
And I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate because I went through exactly the same story. I have a beautiful child out of it.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And every child is a gift. And so when I went through all that, one night I was lying in bed and I was told, do you know that you humans create narcissistic people? And I was like, what are you talking about? They said, look it up, research it. And I did. And I found out that they are created out of 3 different parenting styles and out of 3 different ways. So they are created out of bullying, trauma, and abuse. And the other 3 ways is a neglectful parent, an authoritarian, and an absent parent. I actually talked to my son's doctor and I asked that question to a psychiatrist. Do we really is this true? And he was like, bingo. How did you know? And I wasn't going to tell him, oh, someone up there told me about it. I wasn't going to do that. But I ended up taking that information and going out and teaching people how to communicate with difficult people, especially narcissistic and toxic people. And here's the beautiful thing. I was coming from a place of light and love. And I had people come up to me afterwards that were narcissistic and actually thank me for talking and thanking them understand how they were created, how their brain works. And all of them told me they could literally feel when they were slipping into the lower realms where they're going to do something bad and say something that will cut them like a knife. And I said, no, you want to know what to do? I'll tell you what to do. And everyone listened. And I said, think of it as you're at a crossroad. And what I want you to do is look at that person and say, I'm feeling really triggered right now, and it has nothing to do with you, and I love you. And so I need to step away and calm down because I don't want to say something that's going to damage or destroy this relationship. You're too important to me. This is too important to me. And every person I said that to, I'm like, do it. I worked with one narcissistic client that just hated his job. And I told him, take your phone and record videos of your little daughter smiling and laughing, that light in her eyes. Make videos of you with your daughter, you playing with her and your wife. And every time you get upset and angry at work, or you're about to just lose it, take a smoke break, even though you don't smoke. Take a break and watch that video on your phone and say to yourself over and over again, I'm doing this for us. I am doing this for us. And the guy did that, and he's, oh my God, my life completely changed. It was what we call a redirect. It was a positive redirect that got him centered and balanced and grounded and back into a place where he could cope in an unhealthy work environment.
So it sounds like a lot of it goes back to awareness, right? I do completely agree with you. I think narcissists have a room for rehabilitation, I call it, because I've seen it as well happening in my life in different with the relationship, but even in someone in the place of authority that I was reporting to. I'd seen tremendous, beautiful shifts in consciousness, and also, I've noticed for someone like us who is doing the work in higher planes, we also have to address it from that higher plane. We can't resolve it from the 3D. So, with my specific situation with narcissism and authority, I was directly communicating with their higher self and doing the work up there, and then seeing how that translates down to the 3D reality, which was pretty mind-boggling because it was an experiment. I didn't know if it will actually work, but it was working and shifting. Thank you for explaining that because I think that is an important topic the media dealing with. So we talked about 4D. Curious about 5D. So what really moves us into 5D? Let's say we're in the space of having all this emotional maturities. Why do we need to be in 5D?
So 5D is unconditional love. It really, once you master unconditional love, you are one with your creator because our creator is unconditional love. It loves us unconditionally. There is no good or bad. There is no right or wrong. It's just information. And once you get that and you align with unconditional love and you are the presence and the being of it, you walk the talk, you embody it. You're not pretending or masking, you own it. It is a part of you. That's the very first step of 5D. And there is joy, there is bliss, there is oneness. It's amazing. There was one moment I was outside in nature and my heart was so full and I was in so much joy and bliss. And this blew my husband's mind, even my son's mind. I walked up to a wild bird and I picked it up and I pet it and I talked to it as if I was Snow White. That's not normal. And it was a magical experience. And I had to go pick up my kiddo from school. And I'm like, dude, I got to show you what happened. I got to show you. And I went outside and there was another same exact wild bird. I walked right over to it and I picked it up again. It's like how, but it's all this state of being, the state of being. I was not a threat at all. I was one with nature. I was one with everything that is in this world because everything is created this is all God's creation, everything. And so we've seen people that have been able to walk up to wild animals and they're friends. We've heard stories of that, how people can do that. They're not perceived as a threat at all. And if they were coming from that 3D human consciousness, there's no way they'd be able to do that. Oh my God, that the animals can read our energy, our vibration. And so when we are in those higher states, to me, it's like you're in this energetic flow of just everything is magical. And I call it the sweet spot because, and I'm sure your listeners will like this story, but and I did a podcast about it, about the magic within us and how to activate it. So there's one woman I worked with. I helped her manifest her husband, and then they were trying to have a child, and they tried for a year and a half. They did IVF, everything I would say 3D force and control, trying to have a baby. Sex became a job. They weren't making love anymore. And she finally reached out to me and, hey, we're trying to have a baby. And what are your thoughts on this? Can you help me? And I told her, this is what you've been doing. I don't want to say wrong, but this is why it hasn't worked. You've been going from this 3D approach. What we need to do is clear all that. And I'm going to make you a recording and I'm going to want you to listen to it for 30 days every day. And we're going to fill your womb with love and light, all that forgiveness, acceptance, 4D, 5D, we're going to fill it. And then you're going to talk to that baby and you're going to do the Ho'oponopono and you're going to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I made this a job. You want to come in. You're supposed to be created out of light and love, and I'm sorry. And whenever you want to come in, you can come in and ask to be forgiven and say, I love you. I can't wait to have you. And then see yourself with that infant. Literally talk to it, connect to it. Long story short, in 30 days, she got pregnant. And she's probably 20 weeks pregnant right now, expecting a baby girl in April. Yeah, she spent
Amazing.
80 days in frustration. And then 30 days, she lined up with it. The baby was ready, waiting for her. She just had to get herself lined up.
I had a similar experience this summer where also a friend of mine has been doing all these IVFs, and it was a similar type of experience. So I'm happy you mentioning that because I also was guided to do something impromptu with her, which was the same thing. It's like imagining her being already pregnant, already seeing the baby crawling and then being older and being on the land and being the steward of the land. And it's just like it was pulling from the future into the now, which is
Yes,
more beautiful in the quantum. And like you said, being in alignment for the spirit to come through and not pushing it and being really surrendering to the experience, but
yes,
also being okay with that one choice. She was like, "Oh, I have this. Should I do this? Should I run to this session?" And I was like, "No, we just did this work. Allow this to unfold. Don't run and start picking other potentialities. Trust this process that just happened." And that's what we do, right? We help others to, like you said, I like the blind spots. They don't see it, right?
that can help you see those blind spots because she was telling me that she would not plan vacations because she would think, I can't travel there if I'm going to be pregnant in 3 months, or I can't go do this. And I'm like, you're trying to control something and it doesn't want to be controlled. And you need to allow, you need to trust, like you said, and you need to just, and that's why I told her, because we are radio towers, I want you to do it for 30 days to really rewire your brain, to erase all the negativity and just connect with love and light, with joy and bliss, all the 5D sweet spots. Connect to that because that's where the magic is. Feel that love. And it's amazing how it works. The same thing we did with her husband and manifesting him. It wasn't, oh, he's got to be 6 feet tall and he has to be this and look like this. And it was like, no, it's the essence, the qualities of this man. And because the universe knows what your type and style is, it knows, okay? It does. It totally knows. Just go with the emotional connection, how he makes you feel, how he looks at you, how he treats you, the beauty of all of that. And it was interesting too, because when she met the person, she didn't know it was him.
Mm.
She didn't know it was him at all. But what was cool is when she did the recording, listening into it, she always saw a face would appear. And not until she got back to the States and trolled on Facebook and went through his older pictures did she see the picture of him that was showing in her mind's eye. And she said, I'm so glad I didn't know it was him because I would have blew it. Because I would have been like, oh my God, it's you. You're here. You're supposed to love me. She was like, I'm so glad I didn't blow it.
Ah, that's so sweet. And it's interesting how we do create these expectations. I actually also manifested my husband, but I had very strong knowing right away that it was him. But I was the one who's really doing the work and working with the field. And I didn't have his face, but I had the magnetic pull right away, like this resonance. And then there was all
Yes.
these signs right away. It was like five things that matched up. We were basically on the same flight the next day, flying back to New York. It was just like a divine wink when you just have this download and
Yes.
you have that jitter in your body and you're like, ooh, that. It's just like check off. So another question I had for you, because we were talking about kids and what we teach the kids and how we interact with them. What are the different parenting styles between 3D, 4D, and 5D? Because there's a lot of new children that are coming in right now. The spirit was very particular because they are in a specific high vibration already. I know my
Yes.
kid came in, he was my teacher too. He came in 2012. It was a big year for me of transformation and change and death and rebirth in so many levels. And every shaman that I interacted with was like, new soul, you got to level up, you got to level up. And I had to, like, in so many ways to bring in this new frequency. So now here I am 12 years later, and I am challenged in many ways because these children are still in the old system. The schooling system doesn't really align with them. They call them ADHD. I call it attention dial to higher dimensions, but they not really supported in how the educational system is. And I'm having struggles because there's a lot of this computer stuff that's taking over them and escaping into the computer world. Where can I support him better?
I'm just going to say this and I'm going to be really transparent, and it's hard. I'm glad I grew up in a generation where I didn't have social media. There's an awesome book out there called The Anxious Generation, and it unpacks all the harm that social media has created. A lot of kids aren't I played outside. I ran around the block. I rode my bike. I knew all my neighbors. Kids don't do that anymore.
No.
They're glued to their tablet, their phone, their device. And the hard part is when we were growing up, if I got in a fight with you and you to my school, I knew who you were. You knew who I was. I knew your face, all of that. Nowadays, there's rage bait out there. Nowadays, there's kids that are saying things that are so mean and so cruel that it's shocking. It's really shocking. So, as a parent, we need to really be mindful of what they are watching and what they are engaged with. And I clearly I grounded my son from Discord. I'm like, nope, you, there was a kid that baited him and he got so mad and he lost it. And I'm like, if you want to have a conversation with someone, have a conversation with an AI. I was like, an AI is not going to insult you. It's
Right.
not going to call you names and make you feel bad about yourself. You want to talk to someone that will have compassion and wisdom and acceptance. Talk to an AI. If you really want to talk to someone, if you don't feel like you can talk to me, or you don't have a friend that's giving you good advice, because let's be honest, my son's 16. I'm like, do you think you're going to get sound advice from a 16-year-old? You might, but so when it comes to kids, this is what I say about for it. One, I tell all parents, you do not want to parent the way that you were parented. Okay? Period. And I'll give the example of what it's like to grow up in a 4D home and a 3D home. And my kiddo can vouch for this. So let's say I'm a little girl and I'm running through the house, and I know when I was supposed to be running through the house, but I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm playing with my toys, and by accident, I knock over mom's favorite vase, and the glass shatters, and water and all that goes everywhere. There's two things that mother is going to do. She will either, if she's 4D, she will rise up out of anger. She will have the courage to rise up out of anger, and she will get to neutrality. She will calm down. She will get grounded, balanced, and centered. Then she will walk over to the kiddo, soothe the kid, get down on her knees, because you definitely want eye level contact, and say, sweetie, this is why we have this rule in this house of no running. And I know this was an accident. These things happen. And I still love you and I forgive you. And yes, this was my favorite vase. And I'm going to need your help in replacing it. So I'm going to give you some chores that you need to do. And we will go out and we will get a new one. And you can, yes, you can still ground the kid, but you talk. You have a conversation. You don't say, go to your room. Or when the kid tries to explain themselves, you say, that's just how it is. Don't argue with me. You let the kid have a voice. So when you are in a 3D home, like me, I grew up in a 3D home, my parents could not calm down. And what would happen to me is I would get stuck in fear and anxiety, and I would spiral down. That's what happens to kids, is they don't have that coping skill like we do as adults. Their frontal lobe cortex doesn't fully develop until they're 25. And so they will spiral down into regret. Then they'll spiral down into despair, in guilt. They might try to blame something else, but then they drop down all the way into shame. And some
Right.
parents will shame them. We've heard about shame parenting. And that's where those core wounds happen of, I'm not good enough. I don't matter. I'm stupid. I'm a failure. I'm unworthy. I'm a disappointment. We have these list of words. And so when we have those negative voices in our heads, I like to say that's a part of you that got wounded and it's trying to get your attention. And so I gave the example to my son just recently, and I do it with a lot of my younger clients, is he was really feeling bad about himself after being grounded from Discord. And I said, what you're doing is this. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to connect to that voice inside of you. And how old is that voice? And that's around 9, 8 years old, whatever. And I said, okay, so that is a scared child, an angry child, or a fearful child. And instead of you being like me, you're being like an authoritarian parent, but 100 times worse, because you're saying, shut up, go to your room, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Get out of my face. And you should be going, hey, buddy, we need to calm down. Because when we get angry, bad things happen. And I love you and I care about you and I really want you to calm down. Why are you scared? Why are you anxious? What do you need from me? And he was like, oh my God, you're right. I've been doing that to myself. And I said, so have a conversation with that little scared boy inside of you and give him what he needs, because he's going to just keep getting angrier and angrier, trying to get your attention. And it was beautiful to see him sit down and really go inside and talk. And he said, I got him to calm down. He wasn't so angry anymore. And I said, yeah. And he's quiet now. And he said, yes. And I'm like, so see, as soon as you address it head on with love and compassion and acceptance and forgiveness and patience, and you're healing yourself and you're giving yourself a gift. And yes, it is. And you can try that. I tell all parents, try that with your kiddos, because we say things to ourselves we would never say to our best friend or to someone we love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is like the inner child healing that we have to do, because otherwise we projecting that on those who we're interacting with.
Yeah. And a lot of times it is unresolved anger and really going within. And what is that anger trying to tell me? Am I stuck in resentment about something? And I don't know if I'm trained in NLP, that's neuro linguistic programming.
Mhm.
A lot of people say that's very similar to IFS, internal family systems. And yes, there can be parts of us that don't take us seriously. That's why I tell people, Don't just do parts therapy one time. You want to do it a few times, because there's that one main spokesperson, but there could be other parts that are fragmented behind it. And this is a funny story. This was like maybe 20 years ago. I did a inner child's parts therapy with one lady, and she came up to me and she said, I had a really weird happen. I think I'm going a little nuts. And she said, I was in that beautiful garden. And when you said all parts are welcome, and any parts that want to come together now or at a later time, you're always welcome, always welcome. I love you. And I want us to be a family again. I want to be whole again. And she said, 10 little kids came coming out of the bushes and were all jumping around me going, yay, yay, yay. She's like, I thought it was crazy. Is that normal? And I said, that is beautiful, because those parts didn't take you seriously and they were listening in the background for how many times you did this. And I tell people, when it's complete, when you no longer cry and you only have gratitude and appreciation, and you feel whole and complete in that one subject, you've healed yourself.
Yeah, it's so important. It's the peeling process. I call it as like an onion, where
I was
there's.
just going to say that.
I know you do in therapy. I do it more like in the Kundalini activation workshops as well. Besides one-on-one work, it's also group work, and it's really interesting to watch the energies, because I'm more like energy worker, where I start moving the traumas, and people, of course, that's the then peeling of the onion. They start crying, emotions are coming, because that trauma is an energy blockage that's literally not allowing them to feel energy or have the electricity flowing through them. And then it has to come up. It has to be released through the tears, through the water, and felt all over again. And it doesn't mean that they letting go in that moment, because sometimes it comes up and they just process it, and the processing can take a few times.
Yeah, sometimes it does take a few times, because you have to think about it. You've been doing it this specific certain way for how long? And now you're coming. I think about it as, let's say you're trying to have a conversation with someone that you've been slamming the door in their face for 5 years, 10 years, 15
Mhm.
years, 20 years, and now you want to have a conversation. A lot sometimes, yeah, I would be apprehensive. And so that's why I always create that invitation. You can come together now or anytime later. That's what I did with the woman that wanted to have a baby. It can come in now or anytime it's ready. There is no restriction at all. This is your choice.
Mm.
And that's freedom and flexibility.
Freedom, flexibility, which is more of a 5D, right? Based on
Yeah.
and that's the emotions you were reading out. That was from the David Hawking scale, right? I'm assuming from that chart.
I have that chart, but I have a more extensive one on my website where it's different. The way I was shown was to actually show steps, because every step is important and you don't want to take a quantum leap. Every step, I was told, every step has a gift, because there is a gift in forgiveness. There is a gift in self-acceptance and in accepting others. There's the gift of unconditional love. There was one, we've heard that saying, if it is genuine love and you release it, it will come back to you. We've all heard that saying.
Love the same thing as self love? Would you categorize them the same way?
Yes, because unconditional love, that's a very good question, and the way to bring it up. So I remember listening to this woman talk, and she talked about her weight, how she tried every diet in the world under the sun. She even did the bypass surgery and gained all the way back. And she said, not until I stopped hating my body and made peace with my body and realized that I know what to do. I know how to eat healthy. I know how to exercise. I got to stop hating myself and start accepting myself. and being kind and patient to myself. And she said, not until she did that did the weight really start to come off. And she felt so much peace, so much peace. And when I heard her talk, I went up to her and I'm like, I am so glad you came to that realization, because we are so harsh on ourselves trying to look a certain way or act a certain way. So many people mask nowadays. And if someone's going to really love you, they want the authentic you. They want the perfectly imperfect you. And that's why I like to tell some people that dimple you hate on your butt, someone's going to love it. Think it's the cutest thing. They don't see it as a flaw or an imperfection or, oh, that's disgusting, you got cellulite. They don't even see that. It is off their radar. And that it's where what we love is who the person is inside. Because we all get old, we're all going to age, some people get in accidents, but you still love that person. You're not going to be like, oh no, you can't walk anymore, you can't do this. No, that's conditional. So there's a lot more. I look at it as and I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, I wish it would be, but when everyone does achieve the ascension process and goes into 4D and 5D, imagine what this world is going to be like.
I'm so excited. I
Oh,
think we're getting closer. Like my
we
soul is
are.
getting excited. And you and I have been on this for several decades. So it's like the momentum is really growing. And I really feel, or at least the channel information been coming to me, like the next 5 years are really crucial in this evolution of consciousness. And by 2030, I think more of us will be at 4D, or at least the ones who are on our train, the ones who we choose to be in these pockets of communities and things that we do together. I think more of them are going to be in 4D. And those who choose to stay in 3D, I think there will be. That's why they talk about bifurcation of the two earths. It's not like it's
Yep.
physically going to divide, but I think there's going to be somewhat two different type of realities for, and I think it's already happening. Like I know we surround ourselves more with people like minded, more in the 4D, because 3D is just not aligning with who we are anymore.
No, it's
And
not. A perfect example of that is because I was in high school in the 80s, and back then being gay was total
mm,
taboo. But now, oh, we accept them. Gay marriages, gay couples. I'm so happy we evolved as a species in that area of consciousness. And I really think Hollywood helped us in amazing ways, because there's movies that came up that woke people up to, what was it, Philadelphia with Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks. Then there was what was it, I think the Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey, uh, just showing us what it's like in their shoes. And it gave people compassion.
mm,
People that were stuck in 3D going, oh my gosh, that poor person. It woke them up to see things differently. And that's just one small example of how we're talking now about equality. They didn't talk about equality. If we did, we tried, but no, more and more people are raising their levels of consciousness.
yeah, and like you said, compassion and understanding and love and all these high vibrational frequencies where I think as planetary consciousness, we're moving into that more advanced civilization because we still, for now, in 3D, we're still having the wars. And I think that will help to hopefully stop that at some point or another because we can't just go on having these wars that don't make any sense anymore.
No. And then there's homelessness too.
And homelessness, of
There's
course.
homelessness, and there's the cost of living is gone way, not just in the US. I hear it from people in Australia and several different countries. It's getting I would just say a lot of people are starting to wake up. And we're demanding, let's say, cleaner food, cleaner waters, better treatment towards animals, better treatment towards other people.
Yeah, for sure. We're upon really interesting times, and I think we all been waiting and we signed up for it. Thank you so much, Kerie. This has been really enlightening. I feel like I've learned a lot too, and where people can find more information about your work. Yeah, and that chart that you mentioned, is that on your website? And what's your website?
Yes, so the website is Master the Upper Rooms, and you wanna look at the free stuff. And I got free images, I got free ebooks, I got free audio recordings, and there's free stuff. I'm also on Insight Timer. If you just Google my name, you'll find so much stuff, on there about me. I've been around for quite a while. So, yeah, there's lots of information, and I do a free consultation, 15, 20-minute talk with people to see, are you a good fit? Can I help you? And if I can't, I always tell you. I always refer people, and I also let people know what's affordable, because sometimes people, it's not in their budget, and I'm like, this is what you can do. And it's all, to me, it's just all about being of service. That's why I'm here.
Thank you for being in service, Kerie, and doing your work and helping those who need it. And please look up Kerie's free stuff. And thank you again for all the light that you share with everyone across the world.
Well, thank you for doing this podcast, and thank you for what you do for the world, because you're a lighthouse and the world needs you.
Exactly. Each one of you are lighthouses as well.
Yes.
So thank you, Kerie.
Thank you, and many blessings to you. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity.
Many blessings to everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. You can visit my website, dianadivine.com, where I'm now offering a special Quantum Master Creator free ebook that will help you to create the conscious dimensional life that you want. I'm also offering other programs, one-on-one sessions such as Quantum Healer Hypnosis and Quantum Crystalline Soul Healing to help you in your vibrational alignment. On sourcelanguage.org, I'm offering a digitized course that is self-paced to open you to the divine gift of light language. I'm Diana Divine, and keep connecting with your higher self.